Harwich Conservation Commission being held here in the Don B. Griffin Room at Town Hall in Harwich. Participation is possible in person or online through GoToMeeting. Instructions for logging in to the GoToMeeting online can be found on the agenda published on the Town of Harwich website. I think I'm also required to inform anybody who intends to make an audio or video recording of this meeting. Please inform me prior to doing so. With that, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda tonight is a change in plan for 18 Captain Todd Way, map 13, parcel W1-21, SE 32-2437. Who do we have here?
As it was just a minor plan change, I think I had mentioned to him the engineer a while ago, I didn't think it was necessary for them to be present, if they couldn't be. So he may have had something else. So this is on Long Pond, and you issued a permit in 2021 to build a house. It got an extension, and then also is eligible has an extension under the Economic Recovery Permit Extension Act. So the owners have been finally able to complete design. It's actually going to be slightly smaller than what you permitted. No closer to the wetland, fully within the limit of work. No other changes. That area where it's like 25 square feet. It's not much, but it's technically a change to the plan that you approved. So they're asking that you approve this minor plan change to make this new plan the plan of record. And I would recommend that you do so.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with it.
Susan?
No problem.
Nope. Mark? I have nothing. Any comments in the room from the public? Hearing none. Can we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the minor plan change for 18 Captain Todd Way, map 13, parcel W1-21, SE number 322437.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Okay. Next, we have discussion and possible vote to rescind a certificate of compliance for 4 Evergreen Way. Having problems talking this evening. 4 Evergreen Way LLC at 4 Evergreen Way, map 55, parcel H3-1, SE 32-793. This was issued on September 17th of this year. This is a potential vote to rescind the certificate of compliance and issue a revised certificate of compliance, which Amy will describe for us the ins and outs, or unless there's someone else here.
I'm actually going to invite the owner, Rick Hamlin, up to tell you all about it, and I'll happily fill in the blanks because he can speak to it far better than I can.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rick Hamlin, the owner of the property. First, I want to say I'm aware that there's an issue of a stockpiling question on the property. That issue is being addressed. It has been for the last couple of years. It'll be far more forceful. I have already delivered a letter that will be sent out tomorrow to the tenant of that property, to Amy. So she has it on file, and that will be taken care of. As I said, my name's Rick Hamlin. I'm the owner of the property, was the owner of 4 Evergreen Way, but still own 25 plus or minus acres, which I purchased in 2 separate purchases from John English Lot A, which does affect the property in question, was purchased 12/11/96, and the balance of the bog 5/1/2000. Both of which include a DEP number, SE 32793, which I'll refer to several times, both of whom Richard O. Perry and Meyer Singer attorneys have informed me back 25-plus years ago that DEP number runs with the land. In attendance this evening is Jeff Bellis, who represents the buyer and owner of 4 Evergreen Way LLC, which I sold recently, a few months ago, to Barak Demir. On or about September 22nd, I became aware that a third party received a certificate of completions for the entirety of 32-793, which was without my knowledge or notification. Being that I am the owner of the property, I was kind of surprised that that could happen, but it did. And notwithstanding the fact that I may be here again sometime in the future to ask for a complete certificate of compliance, the work ongoing at the bog is not complete. And that being said, I've leased the property to Ray Thatcher for the last 25 years and had to take the property over this year myself because Ray has retired and my son and I maintained the bog. And we were okay, but we continue and we plan to continue to maintain the bog. Now, as I noted in my letter at 10/29/25, the construction for the building on 4 Evergreen Way, which was issued, there was a certificate of compliance issued for the notice of intent that I applied for, received the order of conditions. The certificate of compliance for that building was issued on February 3rd, 1997, Book 10-596, page 118 to 119. Now, had I been informed of the need for a partial certificate of compliance as 4 Evergreen Way related to 32-793, I could have walked the owner and the attorney through the steps necessary and the proper plans to be referenced in relation to the growing, so to speak, or the growth of 4 Evergreen Way. 4 Evergreen Way was developed back in the 80s. It was on a plan done for Richard A. Hamlin and Stephen Cotel by Sol Lance. That one was actually done by Sweetser Engineering. It was referred to by Attorney Bellis, book 440, page 94, as having had something to do with 32-793. That was not accurate. It's not true. It's just simply, we'll call it a clerical error for lack of a better term. That particular plan had a separate notice of intent, order of conditions, and certificate of compliance issued for 32-653. That building was closed. However, I will recognize after the fact and doing considerable research on this matter that took me several weeks to get my hands on because time goes by, and it has been 25 years. 4 Evergreen Way is parcel H3-1. And H3-1 on Plan Book 440, page 94, you have a copy of that plan in your packet. That was what it originally was, and it was Lot 1 of a 3-lot subdivision done for Hamlin and Cotel. That parcel, H3-1, was enlarged on January 2nd, 2002, after I had bought the remainder of the bog from Jack English. And it was enlarged because I, who still occupy 4 Evergreen Way now as a tenant as opposed to an owner, wanted more land. It was my land. I made the lot bigger. It was changed slightly on August 12th, 2004. And then once again, and that was both, the first one was Book 571, page 57, and then slightly again, H3-1 on April 12th, 2005. So it did morph into 4 different sized lots. The final lot being Book 599, page 29. That is what it is today. we're here really because it's a technical matter. Lot A was purchased from John English. Actually, John English purchased it from Ron Kendall in 91 or so. I purchased Lot A in 96. Lot A, the extreme northernmost portion of Lot A became part of 4 Evergreen Way. So technically, 32,793 did affect that extreme northern portion. In addition, when I bought the rest of the property in 2000, there was a slight piece of the bog property that would be on the west side of Lot A. We're talking about a triangle no more than the size of this room that was also added to the property. So the reality is this: a third party shouldn't be allowed to close someone's certificate of compliance without their knowledge and notification. So we need to rescind that vote because the bog work is still ongoing. Secondly, in order to address the concerns of the buyer's attorneys and financing for whatever that may be, a second vote should be made for a partial completion of 32,793, as it specifically relates, and I put them in your packet, to the 4 plans that are addressed, ever so slightly in a different manner, but for the benefit of the applicant. Once that goes on record, then there should be no issue whatsoever as to the applicant's release of 32,793. Plan Book 440, page 94, by sole land surveying should not be included in any motion. It was never part of 32,793. The following 4 plans should be included in a motion for partial completion as 32,793, as they specifically relate to 4 Evergreen Way, map parcel H3-1. Again, it's in your packet. Plan Book 529, page 72, Lot A, plan by sole land surveying dated October 28, 1996, for John and Kathleen English and Richard A. Hamlin. Plan Book 599, page 29, plan by sole land surveying for Richard A. Hamlin dated April 12, 2005, for lots 1A and 2B. Plan Book 571, page 71, by sole land surveying for Richard A. Hamlin dated January 2nd, 2002, and August 12, 2004, as they may be related to Evergreen Way. Lot A, a very small, Lot A, a majority of Evergreen Way was part of Lot A. So in opening up this question, the question becomes, is Evergreen Way clouded by the fact that it hasn't been released for 32,793? So I would hope we could look at that as well in making a motion. And finally, it's interesting that lots 2, 3, and 4, which are numbers 8, 12, and 16 Evergreen Way, were all sold over the last 25 years, none of which this issue had arisen, and all of which were commercially financed, one of which was also an SBA loan approval. So I don't understand why those didn't come up. But if anything, if there's any cloud, perhaps they should be included as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I think maybe we'll start with Amy.
See, I told you he could describe it a lot better than
We might have to rerun the tape 5 times in order to follow the whole story, but...
So ultimately, we did not know that it was a third party who was requesting the certificate of compliance when the request came in. So this does, and after Mr. Hamlin explained it to me, though there are a lot of moving parts, what this would do is you would vote to rescind the certificate of compliance that you issued or voted upon on September 17th of this year, and you would vote to issue a partial on the same DEP number as it relates and I have put in item 2 on my site summary, but if you wanted to not just reference the lots and the plan dates, you could do the plan books and pages as Mr. Hamlin has spelled out here. But what that would do is allow him to continue to maintain the bog areas while releasing the section, the northernmost section as he spoke of.
Okay. Mark?
I understand the situation. I'm just trying to understand the method to make a motion. That seems a little tricky, but I understand the circumstance very well.
Okay. Susan?
So, one seems easy, to rescind what was mistakenly done. I'm a little confused on two. I get that two gets you to where you want to be, and I think that's right, but are
He
we?
doesn't maybe know what 2 is, because
Oh,
it's on
sorry.
my, it's on my.
The partial cert. I think the partial cert, taking your piece out makes sense, but I guess legally and digging deeper to your point, should something more be done to make sure we've totally fixed the remaining pieces, to make sure, like, is it surveyed, are there new records in place?
I think there's way more than we can accomplish tonight
Okay.
for that piece of things. But if it didn't come up, so when certificates of compliance for parcels like these often come up as parcels become available for sale. And sometimes the attorneys or the bank catches these hindrances, if you will, on the deed. So we are not the ones, our department is not the ones who are saying, oh, you need to request a certificate of compliance. It's the, typically when property transactions are taking place, because they're seen as hindrances. So if they haven't come up as hindrances in the past,
So if it
there's
did
not
in the
really a
next,
way to go back.
if we did in the next sale, that we would just, they deal with it then. This would get Mr. Hanlon what he needs.
This would get Mr. Hanlon what he needs.
Okay. Then I have no further questions.
Yeah, I think we'd just do whatever Rick needs to get this thing straightened out. This is quite a convoluted mess.
If I may, the reason for the reference to all the plans, I sit on boards, I understand how all the technicalities are involved. I only reference all of the plans because they take care of every single possible issue related to 4 Evergreen Way, period. Doesn't affect anything else. And I did give Amy a copy of the 25 plus or minus acres that 32,793 affects. This is probably 0.1% of the area, but unfortunately, over time, it consisted of 3 different plans, or 4, actually. The original and then the 3 extra. So in order to satisfy the buyer to clean up this small issue related to financing, it's a matter of how, the board could just reference the one plan, which is the final plan, and that would take care of it, in my opinion. But not being an attorney and trying to make sure it was all set for the client, I've referenced the other plans because they only affect the small area that ultimately is 4 Evergreen Way, because we're identifying that property as H3-1. It's done, it's identified. So I'm only bringing up the other plans so that if part of H3-1 ever included any of the other small pieces, and I can show you one small triangle. This was 571, page 57. That triangle is the amount of space that went into 4 Evergreen Way, H3-1. But in a technical sense, I don't want to come back. I don't think you folks want to revisit this. The owner doesn't want to come back, so why not just include it? It's exactly referenced, the plan, the date, the page for whom, and where it's recorded. So it's really, as convoluted as it appears, it's really easy because it's all spelled out here. And would I expect the buyer or the buyer's attorneys to know this? No. If you had asked me, I could have walked you through it, but I expect the Conservation Commission to understand it all. I'm doing my best. I've provided at least 8 pages of previous documentation. I'm here this evening. I'm showing you how small one piece is of the parcel, and it's just, in a technical sense, we would be covering everything if we read it as those plans may be. And for whatever it's worth, I do have the original certificate of compliance that Attorney Bellis is here. If
Yep.
there's any questions, I don't know if that should be turned in.
take
It's
it
certainly
just to
not
make sure.
recorded, so I would like it in possession of somebody.
I will take it.
All right, I'll provide that when I get up.
So, for me, reading this, and trying to understand what was going on, looking at the book and page numbers, I wasn't going to go, I mean, I was just trying to understand which lots you were talking about, and I struggled because you're not referring to maps and lot designations on maps. At least I didn't see them there. Not that it matters whether I really got that or not, but I'm just,
It is, it's map 55H3-1.
Okay.
It is literally in the paragraph as it relates to these four plans.
so when,
Your motion should reference map 55H3-1. That's what we're trying to clear up.
okay, so clearly we're gonna have two motions here. It would be too confusing to try to roll it all in one motion. So I guess we just have to work out the language of the second motion, as you were saying.
Right.
But,
So it's how if I may, it's how I wrote number 2, with the addition of making reference that what we're talking about is map 55, parcel H3-1.
okay,
So the
So you're
first
giving us
motion
the
would be the
language here.
rescinding, and the second motion would be item number 2, with the addition of the map and parcel number.
okay. I'm just gonna make a motion to rescind the certificate of compliance voted on by the Harwich Conservation Commission relative to this property on September 17th, 2025.
I second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4-0. Then I'm going to make the second motion as defined here by Amy. I move that we issue a partial certificate of compliance for SE number 32-793 as it relates specifically to parcels 1A and 2B by Soul Land Surveying dated April 12, 2005, and of the original Lot A plan by the same surveying company dated October 28, 1996, and to the plan by the same company dated January 5, 2002, and August 14, 2004, related to the creation of Evergreen Way.
That would be map
As noted
55,
in map
H3-1. Sorry, that was an addition.
Okay, amending to, this is referring to map 55, lot
H3-1.
8, H3-1.
I second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Thank you.
Should we get the
You-
next original to Attorney Bellis of the partial? When we have the partial ready, to send it to Attorney Bellis and copy you?
You should really technically get it to me, and I will copy them.
I just need to report something.
Yeah, it needs to be recorded.
That'll be the best.
Okay,
Then we'll talk outside. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Just
Yeah.
briefly, I apologize for the confusion, it was not my intent. I thought I was releasing a small portion on 1A.
No problem. Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, next we have a request for determination of applicability for 27 Saquatucket Bluffs Road, map 16, parcel N1-23, for the installation of a Title V septic system and water service line for an existing house.
For the record, Rick Judd, Moran Engineering, for BG Sykes property, 27 Saquatucket Bluffs. Property's getting ready to transfer real estate, and a Title V inspection deemed that the system that's existing was under failure or failed under local rule. A proposed design that's before you had some setbacks to be met, and what we've done is we're proposing to remove and replace the septic tank exactly where the existing is, put a pump chamber beyond the 50-foot mark to the top of Coastal Bank, and put a pressure distribution soil absorption system forward towards, or the east section towards Saquatucket Bluffs Road. It's an area that is comprised of both a shell driveway, lightly landscaped area with wood chips, mulch, and there's no proposed contour change. The water service does have to be routed slightly to the north. We're proposing erosion control measures to be in place throughout construction and in kind to return the area to similar characteristics as it now exists. With that, through the chair, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Amy?
Thank you. How many trees would need to be removed?
We have a count of 2 oak trees.
That's what I thought. So we typically do require the replacement of 3 native shrubs per. And given that the previous owner has recently removed his boats near the edge of the salt marsh on the south side, that area is kind of bare from having been covered for such a long time. I would suggest that 6 marsh elder be planted in that general area under the guidance of my office as mitigation for removal of that biomass of the oaks. This really is the only place for it to go. It's the farthest away from the wetland on the lot, which is surrounded on 3 sides by wetlands and is completely in the flood zone. And this would be upgrading of a failed system to a compliant Title V. So I would recommend approval with a -2 and 3 determination.
Susan? Questions, comments?
No questions.
Amy?
Nothing, no, it's pretty simple.
I have nothing. Anything from the public? Hearing none, we could have a motion.
I move that we approve the request for determination of applicability for the septic. With the, can you tell I'm new? As long as the 2 oak trees are replaced with the 6 elders, with the -2 and 3 determination.
And the other thing you were saying.
Yep. The other thing, the mitigation,
The mitigation.
Yeah.
Yes.
the 2 oak trees be replaced with 6 marsh elder.
Second.
Second.
Second. Yes.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 4 and 0. Thank you. All right. Are you up next as well?
Yes.
Next, we have a request for a determination of applicability for 170 Gorham Road, map 24, parcel P3-2, for the addition of an existing dwelling and construction of a Title V septic system.
Through the chair, Rick Judd again from Moran Engineering, representing Carruthers project before you. On your plan, just one point of clarification. Under the, there are 2 things going on here. Under the proposed leaching field, that leaching field is actually 30.5 versus 35. Just a little bit of reduction in linear footage. The width is correct. The Carruthers family is proposing an addition, basically on the east or back of house. Properties within floodplain, the entire property is. This particular addition will be 2 stories. I included a floor plan of the proposed addition with it. Access will be through the stone driveway. They will have a container for trash in the back, industrial dumpster. Jack Roby is the contractor of record for this. Under the excavation, any materials excavated will have erosion control measures. The longest they suspect that anything would be open would be in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 working days. The topography is relatively flat. There is some slope going towards the road, but it's relatively flat, probably 3%. Beyond the addition, we would remove the existing septic tank and pump chamber and abandon the leaching area, which right now is within the 100-foot setback to the wetlands to the east. The proposed soil absorption system would be outside the 100-foot wetland setback. There is some minor contouring, as you can see, just for grade above the top, and we've selected this area because it'll blend into the existing topography with some minimum contouring, not the use of retaining wall. And with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
The proposed addition is in the area approximately where there is a patio now, and as Rick said, that is outside the 100-foot buffer zone to the wetland and 200-foot riverfront area. It is in floodplain. I am curious, so is the whole house, there's other renovations occurring in the home?
The renovation is going to be an expansion on the first floor, and the second floor would be totally renovated. The roof line will change.
Yep. So, should you trigger the 50% rule for FEMA, your current top of foundation is 9, and your first floor is 9.8, and the flood is an 11 in this area.
Correct.
So, provided, so your building will need to come up to flood compliance. If that entails anything more than putting in some flood vents to foundation work, if it includes anything more foundation work than that, then I'd want you to come back and talk to us more about that. Then for the septic, even though there is plenty of area technically farther from the wetland on this lot, that area that's farther from the wetland is still in floodplain, and topographically it's lower than where they're proposing it. And this would be an improvement to existing conditions without having to bring in much more fill, as if they had to locate it elsewhere on the lot. So I would suggest that you approve it with a -2 and 3 determination. And that you condition that no pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers be used on the lot, as it is all in floodplain and buffer zone, and that you reseed the disturbed area with a native drought-tolerant fescue mix. Oh, and that the roof runoff from the house, as the whole house is being kind of upgraded, be directed into dry wells, and if for some reason the water table is too high to have dry wells, then a French drain around the roof line would be sufficient. And with that, I would recommend approval.
Do I have anything?
No questions.
I have no questions, just comment to emphasize business about no treatment on lawn. The whole property is in the floodplain, and therefore it's part of what we will include in the order of conditions, which includes no fertilizer, no pesticides, no plant nutrient treatments of the lawn. And I would like to include that language in the order of conditions.
So it won't be an order of conditions, because this is a request for
That's right.
determination, but I
Okay.
do a side letter for that
Site, okay.
as part of the approval.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion for the project on 170 Gorham Road, map 24, parcel P3-2, with a -2 and 3 determination. And also with the letter that Amy's gonna make up about the recommended things. lawn and all that.
The
sort of
conditions,
stuff.
yeah.
Conditions, yes.
I second it.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have a request for determination of applicability for 22 Francis Road, map 56, parcel B3-1 for the removal of hazard trees and invasive plants. Good evening.
Hi, how are you? I am trying to take down about 15 trees that are surrounding the perimeter of a house I just purchased in April, all in kind of varying size and condition, one being half down right now and being held up by another pine tree that's in the front.
And you are?
Oh, I'm Jill Bonelli, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
I've never done this, I don't know, sorry.
That's okay. Just need to include that.
Okay, no problem. So when we went out there and met with you, it seemed maybe 10 to 12 trees.
There was 3 that are really small, so I included it as a 15. They were kind of the
Okay,
oaks
were
that were
those
right
the-
by, and they come, everything that I pointed out, the limbs were coming towards the roof and the
Yep.
porch and heading over, so it was the small ones that are right by the porch.
Okay, thank you. And yes, there were probably a couple that I didn't see. So upon inspection, the trees are kind of in various states of health. And I can see the concern for the house, and I can see insurance being a problem there too. So this house, you recently purchased the home, and we talked about, replanting with 2 to 3 native shrubs per, and that the life of the permit is a 3-year life of the permit. So while we understand, it is a fair number of trees that you're asking to take down, so just without mitigating, I couldn't recommend it. But if you're in agreement with what I believe I emailed you in terms of the type that would, shrubs that would work in that area to renaturalize it, I could recommend approval. You would also ask to be able to kind of continue to kind of nip at some of the invasives along the edge. So this area has a lot of bittersweet, English ivy, some honeysuckle, and I know that you're in the business, landscape business, so allowing her to continue to manage that so it doesn't become, more of an invasion would be part of this permit. So this would be a -3 determination for approval as it is buffer zone only.
Okay.
No questions.
Nothing from me, John.
I have nothing. Anything from the public? Hearing none. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for a -3 determination for 22 Francis Road, map 56, parcel B1 and B3-1, excuse me.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank
All
you.
set.
Thanks,
Thank
we'll have
you.
this to you in a few days.
Awesome, thanks.
Now we have a request for an amended order of conditions for 116 Sisson Road, map 30, parcel G5-4, SE 32-2618 for the construction of an in-ground pool with a retaining wall and fill, patio, cabana with a bathroom, rinse station, and storage unit.
I think that might be a
Yeah,
different one,
right.
Mr. Chair. There's no pool. This is 116 Sisson?
I'm having an off night, I'm sorry. Yeah, I skipped.
Yeah.
116 Sisson Road, map 30, parcel G5-4, SE 32-2507. A request for an amended order of conditions with relocation of deck chairs, substitution of post and rail fence for chain link fence, addition of stone retaining wall, addition of a patio, and mitigation plantings.
Good
Yes,
evening,
sir.
Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members. For the record, my name is Kieran Healy. I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group. I represent the property here and the owners of the property here as well, Alexandra and Jonathan Burrell. Originally we did a filing notice of intent a number of years ago, and we got approval to build this single-family home at this property. One of the big things at the time was that the foundation of the house would remain outside of the 100-foot buffer, and that is the case. When we went to do our certificate of compliance, we were required to do an as-built of the property, and we located some stuff that is different from what was approved in the approved plan. Some of the items actually are an improvement, and some of them are not. So we're here to discuss the items if we could. There are 6 major items. Each one is, when I say major, 6 identifiable items, not really major items, but identifiable items. One of them, as you mentioned, is the location of the fence. If I could bring your attention to my sketch. The original fence was positioned right here, approximately 60 feet from the wetlands. That was approved by the Conservation Commission. The proposed fence, the new fence that has been installed is actually inland of that. So they moved, this green area is area that was approved to be disturbed, but was not disturbed. So the fence is in this location along here. They changed it from a post and rail fence to a chain link fence, and I believe they had a conversation with you, Amy, during construction, is that correct?
Not during construction.
Afterwards.
I didn't know about it until we found out about
We
it.
found about it, so when we brought it to the Commission's attention. So they changed from a post and rail to a chain link fence, basically keep the dogs in, was the reason for it. When they brought in the fence in this area, the slope here was very steep, and the contractor put in these boulders along here to level the ground and reduce the potential for runoff from the ground going back down into the wetland. So this area right here is flat, and he also put in a drain manhole, a catch basin to capture runoff in that area to stop it from running back down into the wetlands. So even though it wasn't permitted, I believe it's an improvement to stop potential runoff towards the wetland. One of the other items is that the stairway, we had the stairway coming out on this side, and the stairway was turned 90 degrees. There is a little bit more of it in the buffer, but the 100-foot buffer splits the stairway, so the closest portion of the stairs is at 97 feet to the wetland. I don't think it's going to impact the wetland down here in this location. Another item was that they put in a patio down here in this section. We had proposed, here's our proposed information over here, to remove the section of the patio and to leave the section of the patio right here. And that's pretty much the request for the amended order of conditions. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Yes, so when we had originally got this request for certificate of compliance, we said we need an as-built, and then that's what triggered finding out about everything that was at the property. As Kieran said, I too believe that there are some benefits that we may not have known of at the time, or may not have normally see as benefits for what they actually did. So just first of all, they paid double the fee, filing fee for a total of $270 for this as an after-the-fact filing. As Kieran had said, previously you had approved half a split rail or intermittent stones or living fence as a no disturb zone. This was a vacant lot or an undisturbed lot prior to this project, so you essentially had them, and they agreed to, the builder had agreed to approximately a 75-foot no disturb zone on the property, and that was to be delineated by the half split rail fence or a combination of things. They did that, but then landward of that, I don't know who did it, but a chain link fence was also installed to enclose the rear yard. Typically, we wouldn't really look for a formal fence that would prohibit wildlife from entering and exiting. However, in this location, I think it actually serves as keeping people out of a more sensitive buffer zone area, and it is on a busy road, so I actually think this is a good thing, and that it is landward of your limit of work as well. The rock wall was not something we permitted. If you've been out there, it's a fairly substantial section of wall. Without it, though, you can tell where the half split rail was. If that wall wasn't there, just how steep it would have, the rear of the yard would have been, and how much erosion, and it'd be very difficult to vegetate that rear slope, which is pretty shady as well. So I actually think that the rock wall serves as preventing erosion and also preventing other encroachment into that more sensitive area, and probably has a little home for little critters, because it's not anything mortared or anything. It's just big boulders. I agree with the drain to help prevent runoff. Patio is not something that we did permit, and I had mentioned if we were to consider it, as it is between 75 and 100 feet from the wetland, that they would have to mitigate at a 2-to-1 ratio. So I think in the area that is kind of denuded of vegetation behind the behind the fence is proposed to be planted, if I'm
Yes.
correct. So it's not just going to be left alone to regenerate. It is going to actively be replanted, and whether that is the current owner or the new owners, that is something that will have to be figured out on their end. I would recommend, if you approve, that you require it be done by the May 15th of 2026. I do think restoring that area makes up for what would have been lawn where the patio currently is. So I would recommend that you approve the patio and have them do the mitigation. Stairs is really just, instead of going one way, it goes the other, and it happens to be technically in the 100-foot buffer at 97 square feet, or 97 linear feet away, which I didn't see as an issue. The bigger issue is ongoing care of the property in the 100-foot buffer, and I think I've spoken with the buyer and their agent and made it clear that treating the area in the 100-foot buffer zone is not something that is to be permitted on this site, and they seemed to be understanding of that. So they're asking you for an amended order of conditions. If you elect to do so, then a certificate of compliance would also be on the table, which would allow the property to transfer.
Thank you. Mark?
Overall, I see more benefits than I do negative impact. That's all I can add.
No questions for me?
I don't have anything.
So, in the original plan that we permitted, what was going to be, there was going to be that fence, which is 100 feet below where the rock wall, and whatever. It's quite a bit
It's
down.
lower,
But there
yeah.
would have been a pretty steep slope.
Yeah.
And the whole project involved disturbing naturalized area. But what I don't remember is what was on the plan for behind the house.
Just nothing, like lawn.
But did we approve lawn itself?
Let me look at the order. I think we
Well,
said native
was it-
seed.
Yeah, we approved the work limit line was approved, and that was going to be lawn between the work limit line and the house.
And the work limit was where that
Fence line was going to be.
fence line was?
Yep.
Okay. So effectively, what's happened is that area's been raised up and leveled, and, well, not exactly leveled, but raised up some and planted. Okay.
Yeah, so any disturbed area within the limit of work that's not the planting area, which they did do originally, is to be seeded with a native grass seed mix. So that whole area within the limit of work that was not the plantings was going to be grass seed.
Okay. And do we have a draft amended order?
We don't have the draft conditions, but it would essentially be to adopt this, essentially the change would be to adopt this as a new plan of record. With the
So-
condition that the patio, the section of patio to be removed, be done so by May 15th, and that the plantings be done by May 15th.
Of next year.
Yes.
And no lawn treatment
That would
inside?
carry over. That would be an ongoing
It's already in
condition.
that
That would be
language?
an ongoing condition on the certificate of compliance, and that language is already in there.
Okay.
And is
All
the
right.
certificate of compliance a separate transaction to this vote on amending?
I would do two, so I have it later in the document, but seeing as how everybody is here, I would say, let's get through the amended order first, if you're okay with it, and then if you have a few minutes and you want to do the cert, just to let people go home. I'm sure they'd appreciate that, too.
Okay,
Okay.
so I move to approve the amended order of conditions on 116 Sisson Road, map 30, parcel G5-4, SE 32-2507.
Do we have a
I'll second.
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4-0. So let's skip to later.
To do the cert.
Yes, so now we are going to consider the request for a certificate of compliance for 116 Sisson Road, map 30, parcel G5-4, SE 32-2507. Amended order of conditions, well, we just approved the amended order of conditions, but we're addressing a request for certificate of compliance as applied to the amended order of conditions we just voted on.
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion?
Just ensuring that the work is done by May 15th of 2026.
Right.
Yes.
So I will move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 116 Sisson Road, map 30, parcel G5-4, SE 32-2507.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Welcome. Folks, there's 2 pages here, you gotta sign one of each. We'll have that out in a couple days. We'll let you know when it's ready, Karen.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Next, we have a notice of intent for 25 Monomoy Road, map 5, parcel K1-8, K1-A8, SE 32-2618, for the construction of an in-ground pool with retaining wall and fill, patio, cabana with a bathroom, rinse station and storage unit. A portion of the work will occur within the land subject to coastal storm flowage. This has been continued from October 15th of this year.
Good evening, Lynn Hamlin for the applicant. This was only continued for a file number, which has been issued always the next day after the hearing. And also for the submission of a revised plan showing a work limit line, which we omitted with the original plan. And I won't hold you up any longer unless you have a question.
I think the only question I had from the last time was the tree that was outside the stake. So is that,
I think that there was going to be some wording in order to try to save it. You have to understand that walls have footings.
Okay.
So it's not just the footprint of the wall is like 2.5-foot footing on either side of it.
and where the roots are? Okay.
So I think that Amy was going to try to craft a condition.
Okay.
And then even if it needs to come down, maybe she can be called first, or however you are comfortable wording that.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is, yeah, that language, but also that, if it can't be, that those 2 trees be replaced, like we talked about earlier tonight, with 2 or 3 native shrubs that is approved by my department in the general area.
Okay. Anything else from commissioners? Anybody in the room or online? Okay.
All right, I move to approve 25 Monomoy Road, map 5, parcel K1-A8, SC 32, 2618. Notice of intent.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank
All
you.
set.
Draft the orders.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have a notice of intent for 2257 Route 28, head of the bay, map 119, parcel N2, SE 32-2617, for the repair of an eroded portion of stone revetment along the shore of Pleasant Bay and reconstruct an existing wood deck in kind. This has also been continued from October 15 of this year.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant. So this project, as mentioned, was continued from 3 weeks ago, and similar to the prior project that was just closed, one of the items that was pending was the issuance of the DEP file number. And similar to the prior project, the DEP file number was issued the following day. So we have that already for the record. A couple other minor project changes that took place was to revise the plan to show a couple of switches from the species of the plants that we're proposing. That revision was done to the plan. It is native species. It was just a matter of switching some of the species that were labeled on the plan. The third revision that was done to the plan was to call out a note on this revetment repair to do a transition from the elevation 10 to the elevation 8.5 as the revetment approaches the existing pier. And that is intended to not have the stone be higher than the pier, and also to have a protective return at that return on the end of the pier. So those were the 3 items that were pending for this continued hearing. And if there's any questions, I'll try to answer.
Okay, Amy?
We were waiting for the DEP number, and then we did talk about the area that was, underneath the staircase to make sure that the wall transitioned well, so that there wasn't exacerbated erosion there. So with the changes, I can recommend approval of the notice of intent.
Okay, again, any comments or questions from commissioners?
None for me.
None.
Anything from anybody online or in the room? Hearing none,
Move to approve Route 28, head of the bay, or 2257, Route 28, head of the bay, map 119, parcel N2, SE 32-2617, for notice of intent.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Okay.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Next, a notice of intent for 17 Dunes Road, map 5, parcel K1-2-0, for the addition of an existing dwelling and associated mitigation plantings. 17.
Good evening. For the record, Sean Riley with Ty and Bond. Along with me is Dylan Lance from Crawford Land Management. Can everybody hear me all right?
We can.
All right, great. Is it okay if I share my screen?
We can arrange that.
So Tari McGrail is the project manager for this project, and I am covering for her as she is at one of her daughter's got into a tournament, not that you need to be bothered with, but he wanted to go see her, and I graciously volunteered to be in front of you. I missed you all so much. So, this is a property that's between Nantucket Sound and Allen Harbor. Can everybody see my screen all right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the resource areas for this property are land under ocean for the sound, and also adjacent is Allen Harbor. There is a large dune system out in front to the south of the property with a coastal bank right up along where the dune meets the elevated landform. On the back side, I'm just going to switch my screen. Can you see the plan view now? Or are you still seeing the area?
Same aerial view.
Okay, let me just switch over real quick. So we have a 50-foot and 100-foot buffer to the top of coastal bank on the Nantucket Sound side. And on the Allen Harbor side, we have a coastal bank and a marsh that we have 50 and 100-foot buffer for. There was a coastal bank identified on a neighboring property that I believe, Amy, you brought to the attention of Taria, that was identified on a site plan. We took a close look at that landform, and while it does meet the criteria for 92-1 under the slope requirements, it's greater than 1 in 10. It's only 3 feet in height, and it's on the other side of the road. It's not representative of the landform itself. It's more of an anomaly. It's not a sediment source, nor is it much of a vertical buffer from storms, as it is only 3 feet in elevation. So while we do recognize it as a coastal bank for the purposes of slope requirements with 92-1, we don't feel that it's significant to warrant the protection from a 50-foot no disturb zone, much like the other areas in town that we've identified as having these inland banks or anomalies, that we do recognize them. But again, looking at the standards of the DEP and the presumption of significance, which can be overturned, we would suggest that this is not one of those coastal banks that would have a buffer zone. The proposal before you tonight is to have an addition added on to the western end of the house, outside of the 50-foot buffer, approximately 58 feet, but no closer than what exists now from the coastal bank. For that addition, we're going to relocate the bulkhead from the west side of the house to the east side of the house. The total coverage within the 50 to 100 is approximately 330 square feet. So for that, we're proposing 660 feet of native plant mitigation, which will be replacing lawn adjacent to the existing vegetation that is along the coastal bank. Dylan is here to present or answer any questions for his mitigation planting plan, or I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the work on the house. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy?
I guess first, did Dylan want to highlight anything for the planting plan, or do you want to just go right into my comments?
Oh, you're muted.
We're not hearing you, Dylan. I think you're clipping or...
It wasn't muted. That's weird.
I mean, I only have one, it's not a big planting area. I'm happy just to make a quick comment on it.
Okay.
So in regards to the planting, it is just over the 2-to-1 mitigation requirement, so the area-wise does meet. It makes sense to do it kind of in the corner of the property where they're not going to be inclined to prune these plants. I would suggest that you switch out the black chokeberry for something a little bit more salt and drought tolerant or salt and wind tolerant, something like bayberry or beach plum, which are larger shrubs like the black chokeberry is. It does appear that the property, they are vista pruning largely a hedge of rugosa rose, which we do consider invasive now. It looks like in the past, a couple of the pines that are in the dunes may also have been cut, but not recently. So, in terms of the addition, I don't see any issue with the 12 by 25 addition with the mitigation, but I would suggest that that you incorporate vista pruning in the order of conditions. If it was more of a native hedge of some sorts, I would probably not recommend pruning it so aggressively as they have done, because it's probably about 1.5 to 2 feet high right now. But seeing as how it is rugosa rose and it's 99% rugosa rose, I would just to make this pruning legal, essentially, and permitted, I would suggest you allow it to continue, but to a height of no less than 3 feet, which is consistent with what we've allowed before, and certainly no pruning of any dune vegetation, including the pines, without further permit of the Conservation Commission. I agree with Mr. Riley that technically, by definition of 92-1, you do have a tiny coastal bank on the landward side. However, I don't think it deserves a 50 and 100-foot buffer zone as either. It's a very small portion. It is not a sediment source to Allen Harbor. It really is not a storm vertical buffer. It's just merely a landform abnormality, and it's on the roadside of the house. The more significant wetland and buffer would be the coastal bank on the seaward side. So I would recommend approval of the project with the change to the plants, and maybe we can get, if the rest of the commission is amenable to that change and the applicant's amenable to that change, revised plans, switching out the black chokeberry. And of course, with our typical condition of no treatment of area within our jurisdiction, it seems to be pretty clear that this property's been pretty highly treated. There's not much of a diversity in the lawn, and yeah, so.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Nothing for me.
Nothing, John.
How is the discussion of the illusory coastal bank on the north side of the property relevant to our discussion? Is it relevant in any way, whether or not we consider that to be a coastal bank?
I don't know the measurements, but technically, if it had a 100-foot buffer zone to it, I don't know if it would nip the addition or not. It certainly wouldn't put it in the 50-foot no disturb, but, I mean, it is a...
So the plan is marked with
Yep, right
50
here.
and 100-foot lines from coastal bank at the very north side of the property. So what you're talking about is something
It's right
different.
here. It's right by the flood zone.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the
It's
road
this
here.
little
It's
thing
that
here.
little thing.
Yeah, it's
See,
just a
he has
tiny
it
anomaly
highlighted
in
on the
land
plan,
form.
Mr. Chair.
Is that like right off the driveway?
Mostly in the neighbor's,
Yeah, it's on the neighbor's property, but you could see it on
That's
the screen. There is technically another top of bank, just due to slope, really, there. So they are required, I mean, this is a
All right.
certified site plan. They have to show existing conditions and call these things out.
all right, okay.
But
All right,
it doesn't mean
What's
anything
okay.
for this project.
All right, well, other than that, I would just emphasize what Amy already said, which is there is to be no treatment of any of the vegetated areas in the property within the 100-foot buffer zone. That includes any nutrient-containing soil amendments.
Do we have the DEP number for this?
Sorry, we do not have a DEP number
we're
for
not-
this. I
we're not
checked right
voting
before
on it.
this meeting tonight, so
Okay, well,
technically, we shouldn't be voting on it without. So, but if there's any questions, now's the time to do it.
I don't have anything.
No questions for me.
anything from the public?
Good point. Thank you.
Hearing none, I guess we're going to continue until,
November 19th.
so I move we continue
Very good.
this.
And we're, through the chair, we are amenable to make those changes on the plans and the recommendations of the agent of Amy for the Rogosa Rose and for the substitution of the plans. So we'll get a modified plan back into you showing that.
Great. If we could have it by next Wednesday, end of day, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I'll move that we continue this hearing till, to our November 19, 2025 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Good night.
You too.
Now, we have a notice of intent for 37 Nons Road, map 5, parcel W1-18, SE 32-2604, for a pier, ramp, and float with dredging. This has been continued from May 7th, 2025. 2 days under our 6-month limit, it seems like.
Yeah, we have made progress, and I'll explain. This is what I got back from the re-notification.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's 2 plans that you can look at. Let me bring this up. Okay, so for the record, I'm Mark Burgess of Shorefront Consulting, the project manager and design engineer for this project. For the benefit of the new person, I'm an ocean engineer by degree. I've been doing this about 25 years now, designing and permitting these kinds of projects. Okay, so kind of a progress update. We continued the hearing because we had concern from the neighbors about where the dock was initially located, which, hang on a second. Which was initially over here. And the navigational concerns brought up by the neighbors was that when the wind is coming from this direction, they have to set up to come through the channel and hug this corner because the wind's trying to push them away. So even though, well, I chose this location initially because the channel was wider, but that's not actually the concern. So we went over to the first option, which is over here. Now, both of these sites, when we first started this project, both of these sites were surveyed, and they were shellfish surveyed also, because we knew we might have some options. So this was already option 2 that we had in our back pocket. Putting a dock over here, this is a comparison plan that I submitted. It's not, it wouldn't be part, I mean, it could be part of the record, but it wouldn't be the record plan. The record plan would be the stamped version of this plan that was submitted. It has not been stamped yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the section here is still applies to here. So I can flip this over, or you can change your screen to the other plan if you need to. Basically, even though it's 32 feet wide for the -3 to -3, the definition of your deep water channel. It's 32 feet wide there. It was 38 foot wide here. So I said, well, let's go for the wider channel, right? Not necessarily the best idea, I found out. When you're here, what I've learned is that they're navigating and they want to be far away from this location to set up to come around the corner and then be able to come closer to here. So this is a much better location. I've been working with one of the neighbors, and I'm actually going to meet with another one of the neighbors tomorrow. And this goes before Waterways on November 19th. So tonight, I'm just looking for a progress check and a review of the mitigation plan, which we never did yet. And then we'll continue this to December 3rd. So with the new location, I don't know if you can tell from here, but the boat is right up against the channel. Now, the initial boat was going to be like a 30-footer. He sold that boat. So this is a Quest 18 or 19, it's a 19-foot boat. It's narrower, it's an 8-foot 2 beam, and those are the dimensions that this is drawn into scale. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little more distance between the outer edge of the boat and the channel line. Right here, it's right up against it. So we have a little more clearance. And then I was hoping to help the neighbors out a little bit more, but we don't need to dredge all the way to here. I could bring it out to about here. But we increased it to 99 yards to try to get as much off of this corner as possible, if that helps anybody that's transiting through the area. I mean, maybe some years from now, they'll actually trim this corner again, but that's not our thing right now. So that's what we've done, is we've relocated it. Waterways has this plan, but we haven't been in front of them to review this. Now, it was staked out. Has anybody been out to see the new location?
Mm-hmm. We went out yesterday.
Okay, and were you able to see it at something that resembled a low tide?
No, but we saw the stake.
Oh, the stake.
You what?
The stake was still there. We saw that.
Well, I had one went out with a stepladder the next day and pounded them in, so they're not going anywhere this
Yeah,
time.
the timing wasn't, it was a little bit
Tides are
above mid.
horrible.
Yeah.
I did include some low tide pictures.
Yep.
After that, so you can see. But what we're doing is we take advantage of the slight indentation here in the corner, because the channel sort of snakes around. So we're taking full advantage of that. And in my opinion, I mean, I had a 19-foot boat. I haven't had a 30-foot boat, but navigating there, if they can make it past there now, in my world, I'd say this would have zero impact on anything that anybody's trying to do coming through here. It's exactly opposite conditions than there are here. So, and when you turn it around, so this is the plan that's sent back to the surveyor to get stamped, but if we have to change anything, well, then it's a moot point. So again, locations here. So this is a blow-up of it. So you can see there's some clearance there between the boat and the deep water channel we didn't have in the other location. The dock is much shorter, so if you read my letter, the dock went from 26 feet with a middle pile to just 20 feet. So now it doesn't even need an intermediate pile. It attaches to the bulkhead, 20 feet later, you've got 2 piles, you're done. And the stakes that were out there, the one PVC stake that's taller and closer to land, that's the end of the pier. So that's all that will be there in the wintertime. And then the other stake that was further out is the center line of the outside edge of the float. So that stake was right here. if that helps. Let's see. And I think the key, well, yeah, the dredging volume was increased from 65 to 99 yards. So I think one of the keys here for the commission to consider is that the channel is 32 feet wide. It's not 50. And one of the regulations that Waterways was considering was that, well, that no dock should extend into a channel so it decreased it to less than 50 feet. I think if you interpret it that way, this dock doesn't do that. It does not decrease the width of the channel. That was the intent of that regulation, and it makes sense. You have a 50-foot wide channel, you don't want to put something out there that's going to decrease the usable width of that channel. So that, to me, is the intent of that regulation. This channel doesn't comply with the 50 feet because it just isn't 50 feet wide, but the principle is that this design does not in any way decrease the usable width of the channel from what it is now. So I just wanted to make that clear. And then the second thing for tonight was to request to look at the mitigation plan that was developed. The square footages of the structure would go down by 24 square feet. Not a matter to me. But it was more important to take a look at how the mitigation plan might meet the new location. Lindsay Strode developed the plan. I don't think he was going to denude the bank like some other projects where he was going to pick and choose what to take out and then pick and choose what to put back. There were square footages on it and all that, so I would ask if you had a chance to review that. We're open to comments. And other than that, I'm going to be quiet.
Thank you. Amy?
So since this is for comment only, understanding you're going to go to Waterways on the 19th?
The 19th, right.
I'm going to kind of withhold any comment on navigation and let them weigh in on navigation, their advisory to the Conservation Commission in that regard. I'll just weigh in on, there are ways that the project does meet. It's certainly less than 80 feet long at Nemo Water. In order to get your minus, kind of -3?
I believe so, yeah.
I have to check our regulations, because I think where we say where salt marsh is not present, I think you can be -2.5. So I have to check, I will check that and get back to you tomorrow on that. So we had changed our bylaws a couple of years ago to say that it has to be -3 around all sides of the float at mean low water, but I am pretty sure that is only where, no, is that where you're above salt? No, sorry, that's the height above salt marsh, I believe. I will double check that it's 2.5 or 3. But regardless, you would need to dredge, obviously, to get to either 2.5 or 3. And I do have, had this substrate been mucky substrate, really not great for shellfish habitat, dredging I'd feel more comfortable with. This is clearly good shellfish habitat. We have sand and gravel and a mix of sand and gravel. And you did find what we assumed you would find, which is per the town shellfish map, and this area is seeded as well, a mix of quahog species and soft shells. Oysters would not be uncommon in this area either, which you found kind of southwest of this area when the other dock went in. So I think there's no question that it is good shellfish habitat. The question will be, going forward, is the proposed project going to have an adverse impact to that habitat? And what are you proposing to mitigate for that?
I can answer that if you...
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, to prove or to help you decide whether or not the dock may or may not have a negative impact, the other dock to the west is having its follow-up shellfish survey. It had one already, and the shellfish population was still equally or greater robust than it was when we started, and that's almost identical project. It's had 65 yards of dredging, and it was a new dock, right on the same beach, you know, over, well, there it is right here. And it's still on the plan over here. So we had the original shellfish survey. We had a follow-up shellfish survey last year that the population wasn't significantly different. I think it was actually more. And oysters were present at the site when they weren't on the original shellfish survey. The second-year follow-up hasn't been done yet. It's due like any week now. I'm supposed to get it. I don't expect the results to be any different. So to me, that proves that properly designed docks, sited even in an area that contains a reasonable amount of shellfish, aren't going to have a negative impact. So we didn't have this data years ago because the follow-up surveys weren't required. Now that they are, we're getting the data that says, hey, we're doing it right, and the shellfish are fine. Separate to this project, we have 3 follow-up surveys on Herring River, and even though the area was actively shellfished, the population was still equal to the original shellfish survey. And the owners had pictures of a guy out there shellfishing in front of the float. So, again, my point is, in principle, that you do this right, and you're not going to have a significant impact. Further to that, generally, well, in all cases, in past number of years, the Commission's required the standard shellfish mitigation. It's $6,000. And as you've heard me say, Amy, Heinz Proft and I did the calculations for that, and that amount of money buys enough seed that at a 10% survival rate, you can successfully seed 105,000 square feet, which is 2 acres. So you're getting a bundle of money to do a bundle of good in way more. I mean, you have enough to seed this area probably, 6 times over. So the mitigation's in place. It's been pretty standard over the years, and the applicant would certainly be willing to accept that. A condition in the permit would be that all the shellfish should be removed from the site before you dredge, and in the dredge footprint, obviously.
Correct.
And relocated, either cast to the side or, yeah.
Really? That's how they do it?
Huh?
That's how they do it, okay.
In other towns, same thing. If you're going to dredge, they just say, well, relocate them, and they're pretty happy just off to the side. It's a new neighborhood, I guess, but they've been pretty happy, so that's been the standard procedure. You get them out before you dig them out, and then they have a chance to survive just in a slightly new location.
Survivability is generally pretty good if it's in the same water body.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned briefly the planting plan by Lindsay Stewart of Cape Organics, which was in the first, your initial application in April, not in your I don't think it's in your more recent one, but it might be. I pulled it, so that's all still in play, obviously, with just a few things moved because the dock is moved. I mean, in general, that's a great plan that Lindsay did, because for those who've been onto the site, it's a mix of, they have a garden, essentially, out back, of walking path along the top of the coastal bank. It is treed, it is vegetated, but it's very much a manicured area, and also a mix of invasives and natives
On
in
the
there.
slope, mostly,
On
yeah.
the slope.
Mhm.
So the planting plan would be an improvement, and the species, I would just be curious what he says for beach grasses as a type, again, because if it's, what we're thinking of like American beach grass, it may not be appropriate on the site just because it doesn't have windblown sand deposits. But that is all stuff we can talk about. That's the smaller portion of the project.
Lindsay's funny like that. He is not afraid to plant beach grass upland, or even Spartina patens.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to plant those well above mean high water, and he's had success with it. So it's not something I would think of.
I find that they work for 5 to 10 years at maximum, but he would know better than me, but that they tend to peter out after that without constant windblown sand deposition.
But we could certainly substitute that
that's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So I really don't have any further comments. We had comments from the Division of Marine Fisheries. I think you'd be looking at the same sort of comments from,
I didn't even send it back to him.
from the Division of Marine Fisheries.
Yeah.
Um,
It's gonna be,
which had to deal, like, there was concern about changing from intertidal to subtidal habitat.
they read the plan wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am interested to see what Waterways has to say before we really go into this further.
I understand.
Yeah, my only question actually would be a waterways question, is just the potential traffic jam. I don't know how many houses were further down in that cul-de-sac of water, and we saw a guy shellfishing yesterday and in his little skiff, and just trying to envision the dock, the boat, and it seemed crowded pretty quickly.
Well, it's, there's, I think it's 14 properties and 11 boats.
Down, okay.
Yeah, within the Oyster Creek, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm unaware of any, demolition derby that's been going on. I imagine they have to cooperate. There's enough sight line, you can see clearly
Yeah, it's pretty straight.
from
People
here
coming.
all the way around the corner, so, if it's one way, I mean, they apparently have been able to work it out. And one of the guys that I'm talking to, the neighbors, has one of the biggest boats. It's like a 30-plus footer. So if I can make him happy, or at least we don't hear from him,
Right.
then I'm happy about that.
30-footer, and that's
Yeah.
Well, okay, but
size.
think about it, though. People maneuver much bigger boats than that into a boat slip,
I understand.
and that's under windage and everything else.
Yeah.
So, maybe this is naive of me to say, but I say if you can't navigate a boat in a channel like that, then you shouldn't be boating,
I agree.
Probably true.
I agree, there's a lot of people
There's a lot of people that that aren't that good at it,
know how to
yes.
drive a boat,
Yes,
so.
but that's not our job to
No, I know.
compensate for them.
No.
Well, let's see.
I know everything, John. Looks pretty good to me.
Mark?
No, I have no remarks.
Okay,
Well, the reservation I expressed last time doesn't really change with this, which is, it's not about one boat anyway, because in the middle of the summer, there are going to be people coming and going. And I don't think there's a lot of space there, but I agree with Amy. Wait and see what Waterways says. I don't know what reservations they're going to have. That whole Anchorage is very crowded in Allen Harbor itself, not that, and that's a very tight channel. I mean, I guess initially I thought you were having the edge of the float at the edge of the dredge area, but you're trying to account for a smallish boat there. So there's still the, what is it, 32 feet across?
yeah.
Two 20, 25-foot boats trying to pass each other in that stretch, going to be kind of problematic if the wind's blowing. I don't know. But again, it's really the harbor master and the waterways who are going to have strong opinions about that one way or another. I would just as soon wait and hear what they have to say.
So if they're an advisory board, we know that, and if their concern is strictly navigation, they probably will have something to say about shellfish, but I think we have that covered on our end. If they have something to say about navigation, I'm just going to ask this, but is it in the bylaw regulations? Navigation isn't part of those regulations, so I'm not sure how you deal with that, if there's a disagreement.
It is in the bylaw, it's in the water-dependent structures bylaw, which is a separate section than the wetlands bylaw.
Yeah.
And the water-dependent structures bylaw is technically regulated by the Conservation Commission
Right,
with advisement from the Waterways Committee.
but is there a specific regulation in there regarding the navigation, though? I know the one in there about the channel width, we covered that, but,
It's essentially what is in the regulations.
okay.
I'd
Well-
have to go through, it's not my expertise. I don't know it as well as I know the bylaw, but, wetlands bylaw, but.
Yeah, well, I know we all hammered that out about 3 or 4 years ago. Well, so my position remains the same, that if that boat wasn't there, you'd still have this channel to work with. So if you still have that channel to work with, we're not changing it, then even if it's difficult, this project doesn't make it any more difficult. And it's a whole lot better than a mooring, because a mooring swings around and everything else, so. I'm not expecting a standing ovation, but it's not an easy one, but I also don't think that we're making the situation any worse out there. Okay, anything else?
Will be
don't think so.
continuation to December 3rd.
Yep.
Move to continue to December 3rd.
Second.
All those in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Okay.
All righty?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you don't know it yet, but I'm going to have another project for you for December 3rd.
Okay.
It's the easy one.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
What?
Don't threaten us with a good time.
Okay.
Thank you.
These last four people have been on the phone.
Yep, so now we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 4 Eastern Avenue, map 6, parcel G3-8, C32-2447, for the demolition of an existing single-family dwelling and construction of a new single-family dwelling with associated mitigation plantings.
So the work's been done, and it is compliant with the order of conditions. The plantings have roughly achieved the 90% survival rate. They are asking to leave in the above-ground drip irrigation in their native planting area to ensure survivability. I'm okay with this as it is an open, dry, exposed area, so long as it remains just an above-ground drip irrigation and doesn't become part of a permanent irrigation system. And I think that that has been mentioned to the owner, who just happens to be online right now as well. So, with ongoing conditions prohibiting treatment of, fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, and allowing them to keep their their above-ground drip irrigation, I would recommend the sort of compliance for 4 Eastern. And if the owner is here, if you'd like to say anything, Mr. Reese?
Well, thank you, Amy. I think I'll be very brief, since I think we're the last agenda item and everyone's ready for a late dinner. Just thank you, Amy and Meg and commissioners. We appreciate what you do for Harwich, and we care very much about Harwich. We love owning. We've owned since 2003. We decided in 2022 to demo and then actually 2021 to demo and then build, and accepted the property back in 2022. We dealt with the Board of Appeals and Conservation and Board of Health, put in an IA system and did some things that were very appropriate from a conservation point of view, and worked with Amy and Meg. So we think we're there, and we're just requesting our certificate of compliance, and we thank you all for what you do for Harwich.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from commission?
No, not for me.
No one else in the room, so can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We issue a certificate of compliance for 4 Eastern Avenue, map 6, parcel G3-8, SC number 32-2447.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. There you go. I've
Okay.
got, before we do minutes, can I ask you to do something?
Of course.
So, a couple of years ago, the Conservation Commission issued an order of conditions for the Herring River boat ramp on Route 28. And it was to kind of raise that area, revegetate, install, basically install better drainage and whatnot. So we are working with, we're working to get that project. Unfortunately, it's looking like financially it's going to have to wait another year. But we realized in all of this that the order of conditions never got recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And we need that to happen. So in order for that to happen, though, the original is gone, and we need an original signature. So you're not re-voting on anything, I'm just asking for wet signatures. Doesn't matter if you weren't here or not, this just makes it a legal
It
document.
doesn't, okay.
Correct. So I would just ask that you re-sign, if you don't mind,
Okay.
before I forget, because I will forget.
Okay, so while we're doing that, we can talk about minutes.
Mm-hmm. October 1st, first?
So I have one, I think it's an edit. I
Okay.
believe it's an edit in the discussion on October 1st of the HCT/RIOS request for changing the status of various parcels in town. There's a discussion. I gotta actually look.
That's about 2 pages long, that discussion, so.
Right, but there's a specific reference to what I believe is it's the rescinding the $75,000 to CPC for the lot there on the edge of Hinckley's Pond. And it's like a short paragraph in there, sort of toward the end of the discussion. But it refers to Island Pond instead of Hinckley Pond. I can probably be a little more specific than that if you give me a moment. There's a paragraph that says, a discussion was had about the 1-acre parcel located next to the Cape Cod Rail Trail near Island Pond.
Should be Hinckley. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's my
Got it.
Oh, and just another sort of outstanding item is we were going to, at some point, send a letter. Have we done that? We haven't done that, right? A letter of support to the select board?
I did, I believe on your behalf.
Was that a letter I signed?
Or
at some
what?
point?
To support putting certain parcels that were technically
okay.
under selectmen jurisdiction to conservation or water.
Yep.
I will check on that. It was a while ago, so I don't remember exactly.
Okay, could we just double
Yep.
check on that? Because my memory,
Because I met with,
Is
I
likely
saw Dave
faulty, so
Callahan
I-
today, and they're getting ready to go to the select board on that.
oh, good. Well, hopefully they have our letter then. If not,
I will get one to them.
any other comments about the October 1 minutes?
No, I don't have anything.
So I move we approve the minutes for the October 1, 2025 meeting of the Harwich Conservation Commission.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
I don't have any comments about October 15. Anybody else? Someone want to make
I
a
move to
motion?
accept the meeting minutes from October 15th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have a meeting schedule for next year that you need to approve. We had a couple little edits, and they basically revolved on the filing deadlines and not the meeting dates. The meeting dates were all correct.
So there's,
Except, yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't see any variance.
I do. I have one. Yours copy doesn't.
In the meeting
Oh.
dates?
No.
So there are no, the meeting
Not-
dates
the
are the
meeting
normal
dates are
first and
fine.
third.
The meeting dates are, yep, the normal first and third. It was really, there were edits to the filing deadlines, and that had to do with holidays and making sure we advertised enough in advance for open meeting law requirements and whatnot.
Okay.
So you can, if you're good with it, we love you to vote to adopt the 2026 meeting schedule.
The one that was in our packet.
Yeah, those meeting dates have not changed. At the filing deadline, again, those dates have changed for our purposes and for engineering's purposes, but the hearing dates for 2026 are as what you have in front of you.
I move to approve the meeting schedule for 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
The last meeting, Sophia had asked to have an update from DPW about road salting.
Oh, yeah.
As we are missing two of the members tonight, and Sophia being one who really asked for it, I would like to have that at the next meeting.
Yeah, good idea.
So,
It's coming on that season,
yes. to
unfortunately.
Understand the practices. So, there's that. And just so you are aware, this literally happened today, and you'll be hearing more about it soon. The town of Chatham was fortunate enough to get a grant award to allow them to pursue doing coastal resiliency bylaws and regulations. And they have so kindly offered to work on that together with all 4 towns on Pleasant Bay. And so they would be model regulations and potentially a model bylaw, and we're looking at adopting, more stricter floodplain bylaws going forward anyways. So I think this is an opportune time. We're going to be putting a working group together to work with all 4 towns with the Cape Cod Commission to draft model coastal resiliency regulations that would hopefully be passed by the commission at some point and ultimately town meeting as bylaws.
That's awesome.
So is the idea to specifically focus on Pleasant Bay or just in general coastal resiliency?
I think the grant, and I'm not positive on this, I think the grant was focused on Pleasant Bay, but it could be used, it doesn't have to be specific to Pleasant Bay. It would be, my
It's because we all
take
share
would be
a
a
piece of Pleasant
townwide,
Bay.
it makes sense to have these regulations be townwide regulations for land and
Yep.
flood zones, or environmentally sensitive areas, not just Pleasant Bay. So, and that's how each town is looking at it.
How much was the grant? Like, how much, what is it?
I don't know, but it's paying for, the Cape Cod Commission to help. And so, it was very nice of them to offer, and
Yeah.
we had our first just kind of gauge of interest meeting today, and we're hoping to meet sometime the first week in December. So I'll send notice out. It'd be good at least for one person or 2 on this committee if you want to take part in it.
Okay, great.
I have a question. How'd 481 Depot come up? Did you go check that out? Remember I texted you and told you about that excavating being done 40 feet from the edge of a wetland from Allen's Bog, and they
Yes.
tore buildings down
Yep.
and all sorts of stuff. What did you find out there?
So we determined that bog to not be a wetland about 5+ years ago.
Oh, really?
That without the inundation of water, that is
It was
not-
flooded the other day when it rained.
we have a determination that it's not regulatable. So we can't
really?
regulate it.
All right, okay.
I can send it to you, but yes, I remember
Oh, that's right.
looking into that.
But also, he's erected
'Cause
a chain.
I talked to him about that too.
He's also erected since then, since I texted you, a chain link fence all along that property. Now, we don't allow fences, chain link fences, do we, where little animals can't go through them?
It's not regulatable. It's not a wetland, technically. You determine that bog to not be regulatable. So we can't regulate it.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
How?
it is interesting.
How is the bog not
There were
regulatable?
portions of it that were not regulatable, essentially.
And who determined that?
Conservation Commission, based on hydrology.
Where,
I can send it to you. It's near Allen's property on Depot.
something you can see from the road there, or is it?
Yep, yep.
It's all part of his big bog there.
Yes, I called him on it to talk to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember we did that."
Wow.
That was a pretty lengthy discussion, really.
I don't even know, because I wasn't around 5 years ago, but.
Yeah, no, it was a while.
But,
I'll look at, for your edification, I will send it to you.
I would appreciate it. Also, what's the deal with that friend on Lothrop?
Can't really talk about it in open session.
Oh, okay. Obviously not, okay.
It is being pursued,
Okay. Enough said.
yeah.
So I have a question. It's actually out on the water for the last time today, going down, actually went down to Allen Harbor, and I noticed out just off the Allen Harbor channel, the channel into Allen Harbor, just off channel into, or just east of the channel into Saquatucket and Witchmere, there's a long string of buoys. And I suppose they could be a lobster trawl, it's just a bunch of pot buoys. But I'm wondering if anybody, remember several years ago, Mark Kelleher was in here and he was asking us for permission to do kelp farming off Herring River. I'm just wondering whether anybody is...
Where is it off of? Because you said Allen Harbor, but then you said Saquatucket.
Both. There was each of those places, and I think both of them just east of the channel entrance to both those harbors. There's a long...
I'll ask the harbor master and Stephanie.
Hundreds of yards, I would say, long, like a dozen buoys or something.
Huh.
Maybe hundreds of yards is
Wow.
not quite that long, but a dozen buoys.
Dozens of buoys is a lot, yeah.
Yeah, which is...
I'll ask him what's going on.
I've noticed people doing lobster trawls around here, but maybe they do, I don't... Lobstermen put down a whole string of buoys, but usually they just have a buoy on either end.
Yeah, it's
And
not,
that's
it's not
offshore, they wouldn't do
connected.
that inshore.
No, they're not gonna do it there.
No.
So
I'll ask, I don't know.
Huh.
I'm gonna be issuing an emergency certification, speaking of Saquatucket Harbor. So the, ramp that pretty much near the Freedom Ferry and the Seal Cruise boat, it's silted in so bad underneath there, it's lifted everything, and it did it last year too. It lifted the whole aluminum array.
Oh, really?
And
aluminum array of what?
the ramp, basically the pedestrian access down to those boats, to the docks. So they need to dredge about 100 yards just to be able, so they can put them back down. But they've accumulated so much sand, it's picked up the whole thing and bent it. And they need to, obviously, that's a safety threat. So we're gonna do an emergency certification, which is gonna require them to come to you with an actual notice of intent, because they had an old order of conditions from 8 years ago to dredge that whole basin when we redid all of the end tides of Saquatucket Harbor, but it's expired, so we can't operate under it. It's in pre-existing, in dredged area, but it is a safety hazard. So they need to get it done soon, and ideally before we have ice and things like that become a problem.
Pulling out the floating dock system in order to...
Just a portion of it. So, do you know where the Freedom Ferry is docked on the harbor?
That's down the east end.
It's only that area. It's only 100 cubic yards. So it's as you walk down the ADA accessible aluminum ramp to get to the Seal Cruise or the Freedom Ferry. The sand has accumulated so much underneath that it's lifted and damaged the aluminum. So they need to dredge that all out.
Okay.
Is there any other accumulation anywhere else?
I don't know. That's just what I've been made aware of.
Curious as to what.
It's all up against the wall. It kind of blows in from, like, when we get the south storms.
It's funny, walking down Red River Beach, around the eastern side of the last, the jetty that at the end of Red River,
Yeah.
there seems to be a big accumulation of sand on the basically downwind side of that thing. And seems to have happened just in the last couple of storms, the last couple of weeks.
Weeks. I'll have to go look. I don't think, well, I was there
It's a
last
lot
week.
of
I was there
sand.
last week.
I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of sand moving around.
Got a lot of wind.
We've had a lot of wind and a lot of chop. And evidently we have a high wind warning tonight for up
Yeah.
to 70 mile an hour winds.
70.
Yeah.
Wow, I was looking at it earlier, it said up to 45 or 50, but it's 70.
Well, gusts
Yeah.
to 60,
Gusts.
70, yeah. Not, but still. That's a lot of wind.
Yeah.
All right,
Picking up branches again.
yep.
All right, can someone make a motion?
Oh,
Go ahead. You want to go ahead, Susan? You want to take
make a
over the
motion
reins?
to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.